Well, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG here at Kitchen Table Cards and Games. Today we have a long one for you. We're going to talk about every single card game we carry here at Kitchen Table Cards and Games, both locally and online. Everything is in both spaces. We run events kind of for just about everything too. I'm going to give you guys kind of my thoughts on the grand scheme of all the card games as we get into what is really seeming like kind of the end of the huge bull run of 2025, and maybe a little dip before we get to what is going to be, I think, another pretty busy time, which is like Black Friday and the Christmas season and all that kind of thing. So I want to give you guys my thoughts. We're going to go Magic, Pokemon, One Piece, Lorcana, Sorcery, Riftbound, Gundam, Wonders of the First, and Shard Bugs. Lots of cards games to talk about. Obviously, we don't carry every card game. I kind of carry the ones that I enjoy and I like, and I think people ask me for and are going to do well in our store. And yeah, so if your card game's not here, I apologize, but this is the card games. Listen, let's start there. There are too many freaking card games. I mean, it is unbelievable how many games seem to be doing well right now. Really, the last time I can remember this many different games thriving. Maybe the pandemic a little bit, but the pandemic's a little bit of an off because, like, it was the pandemic. Everybody was just at home watching YouTube videos. Nobody was actually at card shops playing. But way back in the 90s, early 2000s, there was a huge amount of card games being made. That's what this reminds me of, which is probably not great. But let's get into it. Let's get right into Magic. At the end of this video, I'll also probably do a little bit of a channel update and kind of conversation. For those of you who like the channel enough to stick around for that, stick around for that. For those of you who just want to hear thoughts of somebody on card games, let's get into it. Magic. We are currently in this spot where it's weird. Nobody's playing standard, but they seem to be only putting standard stuff out there. Let's start with the market, just because it seems to be the hottest topic right now, which is collector boxes. It's really a period of time where the prices are going back to, it's not, I wouldn't say they're crashing. I would call it more like hey, they went up too high and now they have to retrace a little bit. But what happened is that Spider-Man wasn't as huge and as big of a set and as popular and as demand heavy as people thought. And Distro also put out a whole nother wave of it, kind of last minute. It was kind of unknown to them too. Kind of put the price down, and a lot of people lost money on Spider-Man, and that sucks. And when that happens, it tends to cause people to say, okay, I'm going to sell something else. So you have stores who maybe, overbought on certain products. And so the problem with Spider-Man is stores aren't losing money if they're still getting it from distro costs, right? Like, Spider-Man still has the ability to go down in price if the supply is there. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. This is not going to be a Spider-Man video. But the collector boxes as a whole then kind of took a hit because people thought that the collector box game was this perfect entity that couldn't be touched. And the reality is that a lot of people and a lot of stores have collector boxes set aside in an attic somewhere, in a closet. And when they see a Bloomborough collector box approaching $1,000, $800, they start saying, hey, maybe I should put some on the market. Maybe I should sell some. And so I think that this is just kind of a consolidation period where, like, things are coming back down to a little bit more of a realistic price. But if you take a 6-month window, if you back out 6 months or 8 months and you still see the trajectory and you ignore the little 2-month blip, like where things were going skyrocketing, things are still super good and super healthy in the collector box area of Magic. The next thing I think is really interesting for Magic, we're going to see Avatar collector boxes. I think are going to be pretty good. It's a bigger set. It's a huge IP. I think Lorwyn, it's going to be really interesting to watch Lorwyn be such a popular set in the middle of Avatar, which I think will have good Universes Beyond hype, but I don't think we'll have good Magic hype. In between Avatar and Ninja Turtles, I think Lorwyn, watching that set thrive and really succeed will be a really interesting factor for Magic. But the really big thing I think is weird is the shift from Commander products and Commander decks to what is really, I feel like Wizards trying to force feed Standard, which is a complete pivot move. And also, I'm going to go ahead and say it. It's not working. I mean, there's not very many, and we're in rural West Virginia, so like I look at West Coast, East Coast, and it seems like a lot of standard RCQs and standard events are not doing well. They are struggling. I've seen people on Twitter posting like RCQs with 2 people in attendance in major cities, where they just can't get things to fire. And I think like the reaction to that may be to look at like SGC cons and all these other bigger things, but I think at a store level, at a everyday player level, Magic has failed astronomically at getting stores excited to run 60 card formats, and they have failed astronomically at getting players to ask stores to run 60 card formats. There's just no reason for us to focus on Standard. Nobody wants it. Nobody in my store is asking for that. So we draft. That's like our one-on-one Magic kind of, we play weekly on Friday Night Magic. And we play Commander. And we focus on Pauper. People love Pauper. I mean, like, that's a format that people enjoy and have wanted to play because it's easy to get into. It's a little bit of like a competitive side, like the Standard would be. But nobody is asking for Standard events with the new sets and building Standard decks. It's just not there. The demand's just not there. And I think that is a really, really... It's weird because Magic seems to be trying to promote that, but it doesn't seem like anything they're doing is working to promote that. And Commander, I think is going to struggle over the next year. I think Commander, I'm going to get that, but we're going to keep rolling. I think Commander is going to struggle. It's always a scam call. It's always. Don't put any phone numbers on Google. It's always a scam call. I think Commander is gonna struggle. There's no Commander decks. Why is there no Commander decks coming out? Like, what is happening that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has one Commander deck? We're gonna do a whole video on that. It just makes no sense, and it's gonna do a few things. A, I'm glad that I have a decent stock of previous release Commander decks. And I think they are doing some reprinting of previous release Commander decks. But I'm glad that we have a decent back stock of those Commander decks. Because simply put, like, we need things to put on the shelf. Like, there's not a new Commander product coming out that's gonna be on the shelf for people to be excited about. There's like the Commander bundle in Avatar, but it's really bizarre that they have stopped making Commander. It seems like what they're trying to do is say, hey, if we stop making Commander decks, people will play Standard. That's what I'm inferring with their direction on the product line. But the reality is that people are either going to just build their own Commander decks, or they're going to go play something else. They're not going to play Standard. People don't want to play Standard. So it's just a really weird spot that Magic's in. That being said, things are still selling incredibly well for Magic. I know Spider-Man kind of came and went, and it was a little bit lackluster, but it's still selling 85 boxes a day on TCG Player. It's still a phenomenally sell-through rate is phenomenally high for a Magic Standard set. That's still really, really good. And the other sets, everything right now, continues to be selling. Magic continues to be, from a player's perspective, the average store you can walk in and find somebody to play Magic. And so even though there's all these negatives and things that I don't understand like the Commander thing, I just don't get, it's still doing fine. And the internet is such a echo chamber of negativity. A lot of people still enjoy playing Magic, and a lot of people have no problem with the Universes Beyond. I have a problem with the Universes Beyond. I don't love it. It's kind of frustrating to me. But as a store, it still does really well, and it works really well, and I think it's going to be fine. I think the kicker is that without a 60-card format thriving and flourishing from Magic's perspective, they leave a lot of room for these other games. And this is why I think things like One Piece, I think things like Sorcery and Riftbound, I think a lot of these games have an in to get the Magic player to play a 60-card format. Magic player is still going to play Commander and enjoy buying Magic cards for Commander, but there's no reason for them to not try out these other games that are more competitive one-on-one formats. And that's why I think that there are so many other games on the docket right now. And as a store, I think that's why I have to commit to trying all the games in the store and being like, all right, you guys want to see a Gundam night? Let's try a Gundam night. Let's see who will show up and we'll play. And so I would encourage you as a viewer, maybe you also do the same thing. You try out some singles on TCG Player, try out some other stuff. But the last thing with Magic is secret layers. They've got to figure out the secret layer thing. People are so frustrated. I don't know if it's a supply issue. I don't know if it's truly just enormous demand. That might be the case. Obviously, those things are connected, but the queuing system, it's broken. People have found a way to hack it, and a lot of people are frustrated. I've stopped buying secret layers just because it's not worth the 4 hours it takes for me to go do it. I don't want to sit there and have my phone out and have my computer out and sit for 4 hours not being able to respond to anybody, not being able to make videos, not being able to do anything because I'm trying to get a secret layer. It's just not worth it. So I've stopped doing that. I think that they need to figure that out, figure out a queuing system. I don't think that their solution has worked with the limited product and putting people in a queue. I don't think it's necessarily that working for them in terms of selling more. I don't know the supply numbers, but I would imagine with how fast it's selling out that they're not selling as much as they could. And so they're going to have to figure that out because a lot of people are frustrated. And Secret Layer continues, I think, to be... I wish that they focus more on Secret Layer for the Universes Beyond rather than the standard stuff. But it is kind of what it is. Last thing for Magic, I know I already said that, but Vintage Magic is doing nothing. Just absolutely nothing. Vintage Magic, but I think it's still like, I think it's still, when I think about Magic the Gathering and when we get into Pokemon, they are so iconic in the world of TCGs that I think Vintage Magic at some point will do the same thing that Pokemon's doing, where it's like, if you love Magic the Gathering, or if you have that in your history, it becomes something that you want to display in your home. Right now, it's kind of like it's in your Commander deck and it's in your whatever. But as Magic evolves, I do believe that collectibles become this thing. The way that the world goes more digitally, I think the value of physical property and physical things continues to hold true. We saw this, I think we really saw this in the pandemic, where like, anyway, the whole point is, I do think Magic holds a special place in the industry where Vintage Magic may have a comeback simply based on people wanting to own it as like a collectible piece of art thing. We'll get that into a little bit with Pokemon. I do think Magic has that. And so I think there is still some security in Vintage Magic, but it just seems like from a player base, people just want the flashier, newer things, and that has not gone away. It's been a very long time now. So, all right, let's get to Pokemon. Pokemon continues to be the highest growing part of this business. I've dabbled with trying to do some YouTube videos on Pokemon. They don't do super well for me. But from a local perspective, more and more of our business is Pokemon. I would venture to say that from a card shop perspective, that is across the board. There is more and more Pokemon customers being created now than probably I don't know if I want to use the phrase ever, because the 90s were pretty crazy. But there are so many new Pokemon fans coming back to the hobby and into the hobby. It is an absolute insane amount of demand from a local level. And that is, I don't even do YouTube videos, and I've tried it, but we don't do a ton of YouTube videos on Pokemon. My customer base for Pokemon is probably as big as my customer base for Magic, and I have a worldwide Magic, like people buy singles from all over the place. People buy product in the Gold Wizard thing. Like the Magic, it's crazy to think that in West Virginia, the Pokemon demand is similar to my Magic demand from a product standpoint. That's an insane thing to think about. The demand for Pokemon across the board is absolutely massive, and they simply can't keep up with the printing. They are reprinting things from 5, 6, 7 sets ago, where the new product is still 4 times over MSRP. I don't know the solution. I don't know when they will. I don't know how they will find a solution to printing enough Pokemon boxes. The rumor is that this new set, the Charizard set, Phantasmal Flames, it has an increased print run pretty significantly. And then in addition, I believe is a smaller set. So I think that there's going to be some deflation in the price of like some of the newer stuff by that. But the point is that boxes under $200, I think, are gone. I don't think we're going to see that for kind of a long time on the newer release stuff. Now they will kind of start printing, and the dips recently in the Scarlet and Violet market are them kind of reprinting a ton. They printed so much Surging Sparks ETBs. It's unbelievable. I mean, those were selling for like $130 for a while. And now they have printed a metric ton of them. But the kicker is that, I mean, here's the thing. The model is still broken. The distribution model is still broken. So Distro is selling them at like $10 below market price. And everyone's still buying them because you increase your spend with Pokemon, and then you get more Pokemon product, and the demand is so high for the new Pokemon product. It's just this cycle that I don't know what stops the cycle. I have searched, listen, the Pokemon world matters to me now. Like it is a significant part. So I really, really watch it to try to figure out when's it going to turn bad so that I can prepare for that, because it's become such a big thing. We have a collection back here that's probably $7,000 or $8,000 that came in on Friday. We'll probably buy 3 or 4 more of those. And I mean, we buy a lot of Pokemon stuff. And so I try to watch the market and try to evaluate, like, is it going to turn sometimes? I can't think of a catalyst of which would turn the Pokemon market upside down in my head. I just can't think of anything that would do it in the near term. And then on top of that, you have Pokemon's 30th anniversary coming out next year. And like, that's only going to add fuel to the fire. And so I think the dips recently that people are talking about make a little bit of sense, but I think that's all noise. I think we are kind of continue to kind of flourish in this world of Pokemon because there's just so many new customers. There's so many new people coming in that their kids watch a YouTube video, and the Pokemon YouTube thing is crazy. I mean, the amount of content creators putting out content and views, there's so much going on. It's a growing industry. And then on top of all that, that's a local store YouTube perspective. On top of all that, the amount of conventions and streamers, it's just the industry is grown so much in the Pokemon world that the business of making Pokemon cards cannot possibly keep up with it. And so, and it is 98% collecting focused. They have found a hack that it doesn't matter the player base. I mean, there is a player base. They're great people. We have a great turnout on Pokemon. We have like probably 12 to 15 people playing Pokemon weekly. It's one of our, it's a great game for us here in West Virginia, but it's not what sells the product. What sells the product is the collectors. And so they have really figured out that economy. And it's just crazy. I have nothing else to say. I wish I had something negative to say about Pokemon, but man, I just think if you can get your hands on Sword and Shield era boxes, if you can get your hands on 151, I think is still. I have a long-standing joke in a text message with a friend that 151 will be $35 a pack. I started saying this 2 years ago when Evolving Skies were $35 a pack. I said, listen, 151 is the next set that's going to be $35 a pack. If you look at booster bundle prices for the booster bundle display, it's getting close to that. Like, it is a crazy. Anyway, I think Sword and Shield era 151, any kind of older sealed box that they're going to run out of being able to print right now is just it's like a safe. I don't know, I'm not going to tell you to buy it, but I would encourage anybody who collects sealed as an investment in whatever for sealed product for TCGs, you need to be looking at Pokemon. And so not necessarily at like current prices, but if you see a dip, if you're able to get things, from a store at, close somewhere between MSRP and market price, I think that's the time to buy stuff for sure. All right. Speaking of things that are growing, One Piece. I think I'm gonna make a statement here. You want to disagree or agree with me, please do in the comment section. I think One Piece has absorbed more of the non-big three, Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh! I think One Piece has absorbed more of the non-big three market than any other game. In that saying, I think that One Piece has absorbed a good chunk of the Magic the Gathering people who are looking for a 60 card, format, 1v1 format. I think they've absorbed a lot of that. I think they've absorbed a lot of the Pokemon collectors who are getting frustrated with the expensive prices. And I think I don't know a ton about Yu-Gi-Oh!, so I don't know what that group is, but it's a very similar kind of anime style game as Yu-Gi-Oh! Is. And so I think it's absorbed some of that. And I don't play either One Piece or Yu-Gi-Oh!, so I don't really know the mechanics. But I do know that One Piece has created this world where they are taking from all the card games. And I see this because I see Pokemon customers who buy One Piece. I see Magic players who are playing Magic or playing One Piece. And they have grown, they have figured out the balance between collector and player, in that their player base loves the quick, fast-paced gameplay. Their events are really cool. They do these like pre-con event deck things that they do. The prize support, everything they are doing for the gameplay side from a local perspective is working really, really well. On top of that, from a collector perspective, man, some of the chases are really, really expensive. The box price seems to be pretty reachable at $150. Like, I think most boxes are coming out. I think MSRP is like $120 or something. I think most boxes are coming out and they're at like $150. And they're like pretty stable for a while. And then if the hit is like really, really good, the box price goes up to like $200 a box for a while. If it's not super good, it goes down to like $115, $120. There's still a lot of room. Man, this phone just keeps ringing. There's still a lot of room for stores at those levels. And so I think they've just figured out the collector base and the player base, and the balance of that is really good. They're growing. Nothing bad to say about One Piece. I mean, One Piece is, I think, going to become the third largest TCG in the industry. I think they have solidly planted themselves in number 4 right now. And I think as Yu-Gi-Oh!, in my opinion, continues to lose the new store function, and in other words, what I'm saying is when a store opens up, a lot of stores are choosing not to carry Yu-Gi-Oh! Like my store did in the last 4 or 5 years, because there's just not enough player base compared to a bunch of the other stuff. I think One Piece is going to enter into that kind of third biggest TCG. If I had to choose in 5 years, what are the top 3 TCGs? I would say Magic, Pokemon, and One Piece. That would be my opinion. The IP of One Piece continues to grow too. I don't like it. It's not my thing. But I see kids come into the shop, middle school, high school kids who love One Piece. And that tells me that like the next generation is there. Like a lot of my friends, their kids love One Piece. They're always asking me for One Piece product. And so I think that says a lot. It's got that Pokemon long-term stability of people wanting it. And that's really interesting. So, all right, let's move on to Lorcana. Lorcana surprised me. Lorcana actually did better in the last couple of years than I thought it would. Lorcana. So, Lorcana, I thought was going to be a collector's game, and it turned out to become a player's game. And the thing that I think Lorcana does really well is like their sets championships and their that whole thing. They do it really well. They almost do it too well, because what happens is you have every single, this might just be our area, but every single store in the area gets their set championships around the same time. And so then you have the same group of whatever it is, 20 people, just going from store to store to store to store to store, playing for the championships. And they put out so many sets, 4 or 5 sets a year, that this becomes a constant. And it's hard, I think, for a game to grow when the player base just migrates from store to store. If you look at Magic in the 90s, their big thing was Friday Night Magic. Friday Night Magic, right? Like that was the big thing. It was go to your local store, and it was a community. It was a that's what it was. That's what helped the game grow so much, is that when you came to play, you had this relationship with the store, you had this relationship with the other players. And Lorcana, I think they almost came out too strong with the championship things, because what it's done, I think, is limit the growth of their player base. Because when a new player comes in, they come up to a store, and if there's always a set championship running, and so they go to this store and there's only a couple people playing because everyone's at the other store playing a set championship. It's just this weird thing that maybe just be in our area, but it's something I've definitely noticed. But it's really weird because the collectors seem to have kind of left Lorcana. They were really involved for first chapter, and I don't know if that's just like they reprinted some first chapter, or maybe they just went to Pokemon and One Piece instead of Lorcana. But it just doesn't seem like Lorcana has the demand that they should have at this level of the game, compared to something like One Piece that came out at a very similar time, compared to that world. I don't think that Lorcana will ever compete with Pokemon. I don't think that Lorcana will ever compete with Magic. I don't think it has enough of a bleed over to compete with One Piece. And so I think Lorcana will struggle to make that top 4 kind of impactful games. That being said, people love the game. People have fun. It's a really good entry-level game. I think it's going to be around for a long time. But I think it's just going to struggle to be what I think a lot of people thought a Disney TCG would be and should be. And so I don't know. I just, that's my thoughts on it. Again, I think that the game is cool. It's fun to play with Disney characters, but at the end of the day, I just don't think they've done the things to make it a big, impactful TCG in the industry. If that makes sense. All right, let's talk about Sorcery. Now we're kind of getting into, this is the second piece of paper, and this is games that are either coming out or games that I think have they're not going to be the top 3 TCGs in the world. This is the Magic the Gathering has left the door open for a lot of other games that are going to absorb a lot of different players, and these are a lot of those things. Sorcery, my favorite card game. Absolutely love the artwork, love the gameplay. It feels like you're playing chess. It's got a grid-based system. You're playing chess while you're playing Magic. It's very, very cool, very, very fun. 1 set a year is the biggest hiccup, right? And this is the time. Gothic is coming out in the next month or two. I'm still waiting on final numbers for Gothic. I do have some pre-orders up at KitchenTableTCG.com if you want to pre-order with me. Those pre-orders are guaranteed. I have not put all of the product I have out, so if they sell out, then I'll be waiting for like the final numbers that I get for Gothic. But this is the window, in my opinion, where Sorcery gains player base, and gains collector base, and gains excitement. For the next 3 months, I think there's going to be a lot of excitement about Sorcery. I think that's awesome. And Gothic looks to be, in my opinion, just from the statistics, Gothic looks to be a much better set than Arthurian Legends. It's a larger set size. I think the theme of, horror and the Gothic theme fits a different, not that Arthurian Legends didn't fit Sorcery, it fit, but Arthurian Legends seems a little bit more niche and a little more gimmicky. Arthurian Legends feels than Gothic, and like just, angels and demons and things fighting and horror and whatever. So I think it's really cool. I think the demand's gonna be really insane. I think that you're gonna start seeing, as we get closer to release, a lot more people looking into it and figuring out about it. I do think there will be some pushback on the beta and Arthurian Legends. I think that there'll be some kind of backwash of people coming in and picking up some of those products. But I think what they've done really well is that their Cornerstone series and the SGC Con has kind of reinvigorated a player base. We had our Cornerstone event here this weekend. People are just excited to play. People are just excited about the game, and they're excited to see SGC Con and these kind of major things starting to pick up Sorcery and starting to do things with the game. And I think right now it's just primed for the release of the set. So I think Gothic's gonna be, this is not rocket science. Like, it's gonna be a huge set. It's gonna be a big set. It's going to be a popular set, and that's going to bring people into the game. If you are interested in Sorcery, this is the time that you're excited about. If you have ever thought about, should I get into Sorcery? If you've ever seen people playing Sorcery, there's going to be a lot of people at stores who have seen it happening, and they will hop in this window of time. The kind of concerning thing is, what does Sorcery do next year better than they did this year? Because I do think that there was a lot of times of which there's just a lot of dead air, a lot of dead space, where I would like to see those people who came into Gothic or Arthurian Legends at the time find something to look at, find something to be excited about within the one set a year thing. And so I hope they end up figuring that out. But at the end of the day, Gothic's going to be awesome. I can't wait to rip some. We'll get to that in the channel update kind of at the end of the video, talking about box openings and that kind of stuff. But yeah, super excited for Sorcery. It seems like SGC Con went really well. It seems like the Cornerstone events, from hearing people talk to my staff about things, it's going really well and people are excited. The people who are playing are really excited about the future of the game. That's awesome. So Riftbound, newest TCG on the market. Riftbound comes out October 31st in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Still don't have final allocations. Still don't know exactly how many boxes we're getting. There is so much hype about this game as a new game. It is insane. And that's because the IP is great. The team's great. Riftbound is going to either be... It's funny, the first set is an easy home run, okay? If you can get your hands on Riftbound at MSRP, you're winning. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be very, very popular, very, very good. It's going to be like what Lorcana was set 1. That's where it's going to be, in my opinion. The question is, and here's why. IP is great. The gameplay is really good. The mechanics of the game, the system of the game is built really well. It's not just like a Magic the Gathering clone. That's kind of what I think Lorcana ran into, is that it really just feels like you're playing Magic, like a lighter version of Magic. But Riftbound is not just like a Magic the Gathering clone. It's got its own unique kind of system. And there's so much hype behind this. It makes me worried about the second set. I think every single game that comes out, we've seen this across the board, struggles with that second set. The first set is so hyped, so big, and then they try to cash in because the company thinks they're going to sell as much of the second set as they did for the first set. And that's not the way that it works. The speculative demand on the first set is always so high because you have things like alpha and beta and magic, right? And so be careful with your orders and pre-ordering the second set is what I'm saying. I hope they figure that out. I hope I'm wrong. I've ordered, I've put in my pre-order. So like, I hope I'm wrong and they don't overprint, because in these games you can't overprint. It's just, there's not the basis of companies and players that Magic and Pokemon have, that if you overprint, things get sucked up. It just crashes the market because the game doesn't have that kind of central base of stores and people. And so that's what I worry about with Riftbound, is that there's so much hype on set 1. What's going to happen with set 2? We've seen it in every game over the last couple of years. But the gameplay is very fun. If you are a fan of new TCGs, I highly encourage you to try out Riftbound. It's just very fun. The back and forth mechanic and the way that people have talked about it, it's going to have a lot of hype. I think Riftbound might be this last quarter's biggest. It's going to be interesting. It's going to sell a ton of, you're going to see this on TCG Player in those like IVC2 articles. Riftbound will be up there. I can't think of a Magic set that maybe Avatar. I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be up there in the top 3, I think, sales of sets for the year, for this last half of the year. It'll be interesting for Riftbound to be up there. But be careful, second set. It's an easy fall off. Gundam, those of you, we'll kind of go a little quicker on these last ones, but Gundam, I don't know, we run Gundam events, it does pretty well. I think the biggest issue with Gundam is the supply issues. Like, the first set came out and we got boxes, and now it's like, we need more boxes. We got to do prize support. There's not the sustainability that you need for a new game. It kind of drives me nuts. The IP is good. I just don't know how it grows past where it is right now. I think this is just going to be another one of those kind of Bandai games that you'll have people in your store that really like it and that will buy, a couple boxes a year. And, I think Gundam's good. I think it's a Bandai game. The IP is great. But it's just another Bandai game, in my opinion. There's nothing really special about it. I don't hear a lot of hype from anybody other than just like the local scene who wants to play Gundam, and it's like the Bandai people. Again, I think the supply issues are always really hard for Bandai. Like, they only print the one wave. It's really hard to get more product, and that affects the way that the game grows. So that's my biggest thing for that. Wonders of the First, everyone's favorite AI generated art. You either hate that or you are fine with it. That's up to you. I think the game play is really fun. We do have a little bit of Wonders going on, and it's fun. It's like a tug of war for every single section of the game. There's 7 sections of the game. Whoever can win basically the most tug of war between sections really wins. Huge Magic developer was involved with, but their big news is really cool. They've got this kind of like Universes Beyond type thing without the negativity of like SpongeBob being in it, and so I thought I would talk about that real quick. They got Draco Malfoy coming out in their next set. The guy's name is Tom Felton. If you didn't know the actor, I didn't. But they're getting these actors and these kind of famous people to do autographs in their card games. And this is why I think it's really cool. Whenever Magic leaves the door open for new games, you start seeing some cool innovation coming from non-Magic sources, right? And Wonders is going to have autographs from somebody who is in the Harry Potter movies, Draco Malfoy, in their game as their own character. So Wonders has this character, Valen Voss, and Tom Felton is the character art, basically, for their own character, and they're called Stone Seekers, and there is special variants that say Tom Felton and have his autograph. They still have their own. It's not SpongeBob, it is Valen Voss, their own character within the World of Wonders. They just are bringing in this kind of Universes Beyond variant type thing that I think is a really, really cool thing. And bringing autographs into a game like that, that is so young and new, is really interesting. Nobody's done this before. And I just think that's a really interesting thing that they are doing to push the interest into different fields. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a fan of Tom Felton or Draco Malfoy and that I want that card, but there's somebody, just like the Universes Beyond thing works, right? There's somebody who's going to be excited about that. Obviously, it's like a partnership type thing. Like Tom Felton learned how to play Wonders and has talked about it to his community of people, which is really cool. And I think it's a really innovative thing. So I wanted to talk about that quickly, that Wonders is doing cool stuff. And then the other game, I think it's doing some really cool artwork and stuff, is Shardbugs. If there is a replacement for MetaZoo that doesn't have the negativity and bad business practices and bad relationships that MetaZoo had, Shardbugs reminds me of that time. The artwork is just really, really cool. The gameplay is much, much better than MetaZoo. I've got a couple guys who picked up and started playing a little bit. And it's just cool to see somebody from that, Lewis is his name, came around in the MetaZoo boom and bust, saw how they did it and said, hey, I think that there's still room here for something that's really, really cool. That the art style of like really cartoony things, but make it better and treat people right. And I'm really excited about that. And I think it's really cool. So we got this on the shelf, and it's doing good. We sold a couple boxes this weekend actually. And people just, the artwork, we have the play mats. Here, I'll show you the play mats. We have the play mats out here, and people just love the play mats, even like Magic people. The playmats just look awesome. The artwork just looks super cool. And so it's engaging, and it's just one of those things that it's a cheap entry point and people like to open packs. And it's a cool way to do it. So that's it. That's all the games. I'm not telling you what to buy. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you my thoughts on those. Let's do a little quick, I don't know, we're super long in this video. I mean, it's gotta be super long. Do a little channel update. So it is really interesting. We're about to hit 50,000 subscribers, which is really crazy. It's been a really interesting ride on the channel. And it's funny, through the store changes, like the channel has become less important than I want it to be. I want the channel to be more important. But through the store changes and I've got staff that don't do anything on the YouTube channel, right? And that I care about. And I want to make sure, I had to make sure that they were good. They had a job lined up. They had, they had whatever when we were transitioning. And the month of August was so much time and so much energy built into building the space for the local. And I just really burnt myself out. I got really, really just exhausted. And so I'm going to be honest with you, I just took the last couple months and I haven't really cared that much about growing the channel. Not because I don't care about it, but because I care about my family more. I care about my own mental health more. And it's been really good for me. I've really enjoyed like stepping back from the grind of YouTube and just enjoyed like, just hanging out and taking a little break. And so that being said, I actually saw an article that was talking about, basically it was like what middle schooler and high schooler kids are saying they want their career to be. And 65% of that generation say they want to be a YouTuber. And I was like, holy crap. I'm not living that out. I get to do that every day. And that is awesome. Like I have a business connected to it. It's more than just YouTube, but I have this opportunity to get to make content on YouTube that gets seen by more than 10 people. And that's an incredible opportunity. And so I'm going to try over the next couple months to get a little bit back into it, a little bit more excited about it. It's not that I'm not excited about it. It's just like, it's kind of hard too with Magic. It's hard in a couple words. Like Magic, I'm not excited about the sets. I don't care about Spider-Man. The money's great. Like I didn't care about Final Fantasy. I mean, it was great to make. It was great sells. I mean, from a business perspective, it was awesome. But I just don't like it. I just don't care about it. I think Magic, it's hard. I think a lot of creators right now are struggling because there's just no identity. If you're a Magic the Gathering content creator, what are you? There's no identity for you. There's no if you don't like Spider-Man, what do you talk about for 3 months or 2 months? Other than negativity, and that just gets exhausting. And so it's kind of been interesting, but I'm going to try to figure it out. And I think part of that might be starting to stream again. I really enjoy the time that the back and forth that we get when we're opening packs together and the box opening things, especially with Sorcery coming out with Gothic. Like, that's a whole nother window for me. Like, I really, really enjoy Sorcery. The problem is that doesn't help the algorithm. You make a video like that and it gets seen by the Sorcery people, but then your next video is Magic, and so they don't come back. And the way YouTube's set up, it's like it really hurts you. And then I've also got the YouTube Shorts, and like there's been a part of me that's like, should I just pivot and make this a YouTube Shorts channel because my shorts have done so well? But I don't want to do that. Like I don't want that grind again. So I'm just gonna keep making the things that I like. And talking about the things that are relevant to the business. But I'm going to try to do it a little bit more often. I appreciate you guys, those who have stuck with me on the channel and kept watching the videos, even though they've been a little bit less week to week or day to day. And then the Gold Wizard stuff, I just want to say thank you to those who are Gold Wizards. That program is going really well. I think it's worked really well for me. I think it's worked really well for those who are part of the program. I have every intention on keeping that kind of growing. I don't talk about it a lot because I don't want it to grow non-authentically. I don't want people coming into the program just for a release. That's why I don't do the pre-orders super far out. Or that's why I do the pre-orders kind of far out rather than like just the day before, because I don't want people coming in just for that thing. But it's been really, really cool to see people excited about it and growing their business. And that's really my favorite part of this whole thing so far, other than like playing games with locals and enjoying the local side of it, has been helping people start businesses just like I started. And that's been really cool. So the channel, I'm really excited about it. I'm excited to hit 50,000. I think that's a cool milestone. But I just want you all to know, like, it's hard. It's hard to be motivated to make videos when like the sets aren't relevant they're just not relevant to you. And so I try to not make false content. Like I try not to make videos that are like negative, like just false, but I also don't want to be this like negative content creator. So I'm going to try to do some more box openings, do some more stuff that are different content to help that. And you'll see that soon. So that being said, I hope you have yourself a great day. Let me know what you think about all that stuff in the comment section below. Remember to be kind to the people around you. We'll see you again next video.